We move to Deputy Eamon Gilmore.
Cancurla, Taoiseach, you will recall that when the government introduced the bank guarantee at the end of September 2008, you and the Minister for Finance assured us that that guarantee wouldn't cost the taxpayers anything. Now, of course, since then, we've had to pay $4 billion to Anglo-Irish Bank, $7 billion between Allied Irish and Bank of Ireland, and on top of that we have the NAMA legislation. And now that the banks have got the money and they've got the NAMA legislation in their back pocket, the old guard are back to their old ways and they're trying to call the shots. And this week we saw Allied Irish Bank, they want to appoint the same person to be chairman and chief executive and executive chairman. They want to make an internal appointment of a managing director, and they want to exceed the cap on pay. Now, I know you said to Deputy Kenny yesterday that the government intends to insist on the cap being complied with, and I'm glad to hear that. There is, however, a report in one newspaper this morning that the Minister for Finance went to the Cabinet seeking approval for the payment that the bank was seeking, that was the $633,000. So I have three questions for you, Taoiseach, in relation to this matter. Firstly, is it the case that the Minister for Finance sought approval for the $633,000 salary? Secondly, is the government going to allow Allied Irish Bank appoint the same person to be chairman and chief executive, in other words, an executive chairman? And what level of pay is going to be approved for that post? Is the government going to allow Allied Irish Bank make an internal appointment of managing director? And can you tell the House how many bank executives now in the guaranteed banks are paid in excess of the $500,000 cap on pay that the government wants to apply? Well, first of all,
without interruption, please.
First of all, I'm surprised that the Taoiseach doesn't have some more information about whether or not top people in the banks are paid more than the cap. I mean, after all, we're now funding the banks, we're guaranteeing the banks, we're taking the bad loans off them, we're doing everything for the banks, and one would expect that the Taoiseach would know whether or not these people are paying themselves more than what the government wants them to pay. I have, for example, from the annual report of one bank, shows that all bar one of the executive directors are on salaries in excess of the cap. And on top of that, it also reports that there is other remuneration, other than salary, that's paid to these people. Does the cap apply just to salary, or does it apply to the total remuneration package? Can you tell us that as a matter of information? And secondly, we have a situation, Taoiseach, where the banks are still calling the shots. The old guard are still in place. If you look at the boards of directors of the banks, for example, apart from the public interest directors, the directors who are there at the moment were there at the time that the collapse happened and that the guarantee had to be introduced. In Allied Irish Bank, 10 out of the 10 who are there now were there then. In Bank of Ireland, it's 11 out of 13. So we've seen little or no change at the top boards of the banks, and they're still calling the shots. And the test as to whether or not they're calling the shots actually isn't on the salary. The test is whether or not you're going to allow them. You're going to allow this bank to appoint an executive chairman. I mean, all of what we know about corporate governance, and the Grant Thornton report referred specifically to this in relation to the banks when it reported earlier this year, is that you should not have the same person chairman and chief executive. And here the Allied Irish Bank is proposing to do precisely that, to appoint an executive chairman. Now, are you going to permit that? Because that's the test. Are you going to permit these appointments to be made. Who's calling the shots here? Is the old guard, which was there when the problem started, which contributed to the problem, are they still calling the shots? Or are you, on behalf of the taxpayer, who's funding this operation now, who's guaranteeing it, and who's taking the bad debts off them, are you and your Minister for Finance going to call the shots? This is the test.